So there was a journey that the people of faith written about in the Hebrew scriptures would make 3 times a year. They would travel from where they were toward Jerusalem. The city was the highest point in Palestine, so all who traveled spent their time ascending, right? That was the pathway up. And they had songs that were sung to keep them moving in the same difficult upward direction. And those songs are recorded in our Psalms, in the Psalter. Psalms 120 to 134 are called the Songs of Ascent. These were the songs that they sung as they pilgrimed up to inspire them to keep walking, to be faithful. So they were taught from a young age to get behind the leader and to walk this long commitment in the same direction. Now, in Matthew's gospel that we read today, Jesus is slowly revealing to his friends that he is nearing his death. What we read today is the first time that he shares this with them. And there is shock, and there is denial, and there is disbelief, just as happens to all of us when we hear hard news. And Peter shows us in a most extreme way. He gets quite violent and wants to stop this from happening. So he is in disbelief. This is the denial part of his grief. Later in Matthew chapter 17, Jesus tells them a second time, "My death is close." And it lands a little bit better, a little bit softer. And then finally again in chapter 20, he tells them again, a third time. And now they're ready, and Matthew writes, they begin their ascent toward Jerusalem. So Jesus is preparing them, as he tells them, for this hard pilgrimage journey, this well-worn path that they would have done as youngsters walking the way of faith. Pilgrimage, this journey, is a journey that symbolizes commitment, symbolizes faithfully working together for the values of love and goodness and kindness and justice and mercy, especially when it is hard. And as we enter this season of creation, and we once again survey the environmental landscape, we realize that we are more than ever walking uphill together. We are on an ascent. We are living in a desperate time. We are living in a climate emergency. But people of faith, this is the moment for which your faith has prepared you for. I want to read a piece that was written by Stephen Charleston, a retired American Episcopal bishop. He writes it this way: "Now is the moment for which a lifetime of faith has prepared you. All of those years of prayer and study, all the worship services, all of the time devoted to a community of faith, it all comes down to this sorrowful moment when life seems chaotic and the anarchy of fear haunts the thin borders of reason. Your faith has prepared you for this. It has given you the tools you need to respond, to proclaim justice while standing for peace. Long ago, the Spirit called you to commit your life to faith. Now you know why. You are a source of strength for those who have lost hope. You are a voice of calm in the midst of chaos. You are a steady light in days of darkness. The time has come to be what you believe." End quote. It's a beautiful piece. I've put it on the website. If you need it, print it, I remind myself of this since I discovered it. So as we trace the last few years of the climate conversation, we see that since 2018, it has changed. It has moved out of the academy. It used to be in this intimate group of academics and frontliners, and it is now on everybody's lips. Climate is no longer niche, it is mainstream, and it is about time. Thank you to all of those who kept on beating their drum, even when it was not popular. Thank you. Climate people were used to being this group where they were mocked and often sidelined in social settings for being killjoys. I wonder if they ever heard the words, "Get behind me, you fool," right? But these are the ones who were telling the truth. And now they are not alone. Hordes of people are waking up. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And when you see it, we can be overcome with the urge to act. And suddenly, climate people are the popular ones at parties. And they most often get the question, "Just tell me what we can do." And it's a very frustrating question because it's complicated. It's very complicated. But as we observe people beginning to see, beginning to understand, we realize that there is a grief stages and shifts that happen emotionally for people as they understand what is happening on our planet. It is like getting the news that a friend is about to die. The first reaction is often overwhelm, perhaps denial, and we fight against the idea and the data. And many of us did that, right, for a season. And then we begin to realize the hard truth. We want to rush to solutions and cures immediately. And then finally, it settles in. And we realize that we are in this for the long haul. So once we get past the shock, we can roll up our sleeves. I want to commend to you an audiobook that I'm listening to. It does come in a hard copy or electronic form as well. It's called Not Too Late, Changing the Climate Story from Despair to Possibility. And I'm drawing on one of the chapters here by Mary Heglar, and it is called Here's Where You Come In. Here's Where You Come In. And she highlights 4 fallacies that I want us to just consider this morning as we re-engage once again thinking about this important topic. First fallacy, climate action comes in individual packages. We soon realize that we cannot make a difference on our own. If we are to bring things like the fossil fuel industry to a halt, we cannot do it alone. The power is being part of a collective. And that's something we, as a church, as a group, can be part of, can bring our energies and efforts to other organizations around us. She says, climate action is a team sport. It's not playing tennis. It is a team sport. Second fallacy, a single, neat behavioral change will be enough. Second fallacy, a single, neat behavioral change will be enough. Many people ask, what's the one thing people can do? What's that one thing? Friends, there's no such thing. We wish there were. We all have to buckle down for the long haul, for all of time. Third fallacy, it's only about climate action. It's only about climate action. Nope, she writes, it's about climate commitment. It's about climate commitment. Just as we have, as people of faith, faced forward and kept on walking upward, that commitment that we have learned, that faithfulness that we have learned, we need to apply now to love our earth. Climate action is about recycling, voting, ordering a vegan meal. And that's all important, but climate commitment is bigger still. It's a framework. We need to ask ourselves, okay, I do this, what can I do next? And always next. It is a long walk in the same direction. Last and final fallacy, number 4. If we do the right thing, we can put an end to this, that there is a stop button somewhere. That's a fallacy. Climate scientist Kate Marvel says, climate change is not a cliff we fall off, but a slope we slide down. The climate has already changed. The planet is fundamentally different to the one you and I were born in. What's been done cannot be undone. But we can stop it from getting worse. As people of faith, as followers of Jesus, we hold up a banner for justice. And the climate crisis now demands that we take those flags that we fly for justice to this issue. It is unfair. There are parts of the world that contributed least to the climate crisis. They will suffer probably first and worse. Children, our grandchildren, our children, have been thrust into positions where they have no choice but to fight for their lives and the right to see a stable planet that they were taught about in storybooks, history books, and in science. This is a struggle for justice. Mary writes, the climate crisis is the ultimate culmination of centuries of exploitation and extraction, slavery, colonialization, and their offshoots. The overconsumption of all of us and those that went before us have led us to where we are. But even when scientists put facts in front of us, it wasn't enough. It's not about the facts. It's about power. And that is why we can't do this alone. It's about us together for the long haul, a climate commitment. So when you ask the question, what can you do? Probably the best answer is, do what you are good at and do your best. If you are a noisemaker, make noise. March, organize your neighbors, vote, run for office, volunteer for campaigns, join something bigger than yourself. If you are teaching children, teach them to love the earth and to love each other. Teach them empathy and resilience. If you are good at taking care of people, take care of people who are on the front lines in the struggle. Let this become a sustainable effort. If you are an artist, help people visualize the path ahead, to imagine a new world so that we can share our efforts in community. I don't think any of us in this room are experts, are scientists. It's not our job to know how to deconstruct fossil fuel plants and what to replace them with. There are people who are already on that. Only you know the special thing that you bring to the climate movement, that you can get behind and walk forward up the hill, up the ascent, for the long haul, for justice, for love of neighbor, love of earth.